This video is sponsored by nothing. Well, mostly. This video will probably be pretty confusing if you haven't watched my last video, SCP Roblox Games Ranked and Reviewed, as this is essentially a follow-up video to that. And even if you have seen that video, this video might be slightly confusing, but we'll get to that part later. I was looking at the comment section of my most recent video, and I saw that there was one sentiment that seemed pretty pervasive. Where's rBreach? Well, when I started making the video, I realized that I didn't actually know that many SCP Roblox games from personal experience, so there were a few ways I could have gone about finding them. The first and worst method I used was Roblox Search. I should have known this was a mistake. Roblox Search is notoriously awful, and I could go on a whole rant about that, but I'll save that for later. Anyway, these results were so bad that they actually inspired the Gauntlet section of my video. Seriously, all the games I played in that section were top results when you just search SCP on Roblox. So, since that wasn't gonna cut it for the full video, I decided to go with option 2, asking my community, and that turned out to be the right choice. As much as there are more suggestions in the comments of the last video, like, oh, you missed this game, I feel confident that I got most of the important and iconic ones in that video. However, there is one that I did miss, rBreach. But no one really commented it when I initially asked for suggestions, so... Okay. The truth is, I did see that comment. And I looked at the page for rBreach, saw that there weren't that many people playing, and that it looked quite outdated, and I just kind of wrote it off. I see now that that choice was a mistake, so here I am to mend that error. So let's review the one I missed. And as for literally any other suggestions you have for SCP Roblox games, I will continue to ignore those. Beyond this, I'm done reviewing SCP Roblox games. Anyway, let's get started with rBreach, a game based on the Garry's Mod game mode Breach, which is the same game mode that SCP Secret Lab is based on. And I actually don't know much about the original Breach game mode. Despite being a huge Gmod head and SCP fan, I haven't actually played Breach, so I won't really know what mechanics are unique to this game and which are borrowed from that game mode. However, from what I have seen of it, it seems like rBreach is much closer to the original Breach experience than Secret Lab is, which makes sense. rBreach is literally just, well, look at the name. However, there are some very important things to know going in if you're like me and Secret Lab is your only frame of reference for this type of game. Firstly, SCPs can escape. Once they escape the facility, they will respawn as a Serpent's Hand agent, who is hostile to all entities besides SCPs. This doesn't affect any win conditions though, so SCPs only do it if they're about to die. Speaking of win conditions, they are a lot more simple in this game. There's a points system that dictates which team will win when this timer at the top of the screen runs out, although the game will end early if only one team remains. According to the rBreach wiki, here's all the ways of earning points. You might notice the hide-and-seek game mode being mentioned. Unfortunately, people don't vote for any game modes besides Containment Breach and sometimes Council Rescue, so I don't have any experience with the other game modes. I get the sense, though, that these game modes are very gimmicky, and that's probably why people don't vote for them as much. And I was only able to play for a few hours per day because this game is kinda dead until evening. So let's talk about the main game mode, Containment Breach. This is the typical Breach experience. Class D and Staff spawn in the light containment zone, SCPs spawn in the heavy containment zone, and guards spawn in the entrance zone. Class D and Staff try to escape, picking up keycards, upgrading them in 914, getting guns if they can, and making their way towards the exits. Guards try to kill SCPs, or at least do as much damage as they can before they get killed by them. SCPs, of course, try to kill as many people as possible, and after some time, a spawn wave will occur. There are actually a lot of different factions that can spawn here, and I think the faction that spawns is completely random, but I can't be sure of that. All of the information that isn't readily available, I'm getting from the wiki, which who knows how reliable that is. Anyway, the groups that have a chance of spawning are MTF, Chaos, GOC, GRUP, FBI, or Serpent's Hand. This handy chart in the lobby shows how all these... This handy chart in the Oh my god, get out of my way!
Okay, geez, dude, I was just trying to look at it.
And stay back! This handy chart in the lobby shows how all these various factions interact. Just remember that killing the hostile factions is the way to earn points. Killing neutrals doesn't really help. Although people are going to do that anyway, because people like shooting other people. The nuke can be set off, but there's no auto nuke. After this timer at the top ends, the game is just over. It's a bit strange coming from games like Project SCP and Secret Lab where you need to be the only surviving faction to win. And prioritizing killing enemies is very important in the endgame, but in rBreach it's just sort of anticlimactic. Especially if the team that wins isn't even alive. It's just kind of like, okay, I guess the round's over now. On to the next one. One thing I will say that is slightly nice about this system is that it prevents the round from being stalled, but still, I guess the last thing to go over is the SCPs themselves. You have some of the typical ones that I'm sure don't need explaining, like 173, 049, and by extension 049-2, 096, 106. As for the rest, there's 035, the Possessive Mask. A player will spawn with it already on at the start of the game. It has slightly more health than a human player, can pick up and use items including weapons, and if it dies, the mask will drop, allowing someone else to become 035 if they touch it, which may seem alluring, but it can also be a dumb idea if there are other players around. Next is 457, which I'm sure many of you will be familiar with. A humanoid made of pure fire. He does AoE damage, healing himself in the process. SCP-966, the Sleep Killer, is an invisible enemy that becomes slightly visible when it damages you. However, when they are nearby, players will be alerted with an ominous line of text. They can only be properly seen with night vision goggles, which only spawns with the See No Evil variety of MTF. Next up is SCP-280, which I didn't encounter at all, so I can't really say much about it. But one I did encounter a lot was SCP-610, the skin rash of my nightmares. You see, when you get killed by an SCP-610, you become an SCP-610 entity. It's like a much more powerful 049, as it has the ability to convert people very easily. If the infection starts to spread a lot during the beginning of the game, it can become way too much for any human faction to handle. Also, they make this annoying clicking noise the whole game. It's just really annoying in general. SCP-066, aka Eric's Toy, is not an SCP that I thought would ever be a playable one, but here we are. This little ball of yarn and eyeballs has an AoE sound attack. But it doesn't have a lot of health, so it must be protected by bigger SCPs, like Abel here. He lugs a big sword around, swinging it at anyone he wants to, and that's all you need to know about him. And that's all you need to know about the SCPs in this game, I think. Before we get to the score, let's go over the details of the second most popular game mode, Council Rescue. Instead of Class D or staff members, Council members will spawn in the light containment zone. These are very high-value personnel, and they need to escape. They spawn in with the highest level keycards possible and a weapon, so escape should be easy, right? Well, not exactly. More SCPs can spawn in this game mode than the Containment Breach mode, so these council members will have a harder time escaping. The only other humans that will spawn are MTF members, who spawn on the surface, and their goal is of course to kill SCPs and escort council members out of the facility. This game mode is interesting because it essentially simplifies the gameplay elements of the main game mode. You have one escapee faction instead of two, only one combat class, and you skip the part where the escapees have to get keycards and upgrade them. It's just straight escape action. This, added with the fact that there are more SCPs, can make this quite a chaotic game mode, and it doesn't feature too many wacky gimmicks, unlike the other game modes, so I can see why this is the second most popular. Well, with all that being said, let's get to the score. Now, if for some reason you watched to this point without watching my previous video, you might be a bit confused, but hopefully these metrics should be fairly self-explanatory. For the gameplay score, I'll give it a 6. It was unfortunately the least engaging of these types of games. The combat wasn't as engaging as it should have been, really. And I know you guys are already typing some variant of skill issue in the comments, and yeah, I know, my aim sucks. This is true in almost all games, but if a game has engaging and fair combat mechanics, it can make it a lot less sucky to suck at aiming. To further expand on the topic of skill issue, I think I spent like 80% of my time spectating instead of playing. And yeah, I'm fairly new to the game, and that's probably a big reason for this. But there were also a few times that it just didn't seem very fair. Like multiple times I would be dead within seconds of spawning. Spawn camping is never a fun or fair experience for the recipients. I feel like there should at least be some sort of spawn immunity so that this doesn't happen. I'm sorry, but if people are constantly getting spawn camped in your game, that's just bad game design. It's just not fun at all to wait 5 minutes to respawn just to be instantly killed, like faster than you could even react. Let's talk about the balancing of the teams. The SCPs are overpowered. They win very frequently and are very hard to kill when they play optimally. Now, it's not like SCPs win every single time, but when they don't, it feels like it was because they didn't play optimally, not that the other team were just playing well. Now, balance is hard to get right, especially in a game as asymmetrical in its roles as rBreach, and that is in full display here. Call it a skill issue, say I don't understand the complexities and the fun that this game offers, whatever. I just didn't have much fun playing this game, especially when comparing it to similar games. I'm still giving a positive rating though, because I did have quite a few good experiences. On to atmosphere, and yeah, this is lacking quite a bit as well. I think I'm gonna have to give it a 6. It looks very outdated by modern standards, which is to be expected since it doesn't seem to have any major visual overhauls in several years. It's stuck in the past. The SCPs look very Robloxy. The sound effects are mostly reused from other sources, and in general, it's just outdated. Maybe in the standards of past Roblox this looked better, but it just doesn't cut it anymore. I will say I do enjoy the health bars for each enemy. It gives very useful information. Little stuff like that saves this score from being lower. Okay, 3 AM editing route here to mend this score, because what the heck was I thinking trying to give it a 4? That was the original score I was going to give it, but now I'm like looking over this footage and I'm like, this game doesn't look that bad. And when it comes to like the SCP design, okay, 173 is a bit rough, but the rest of them look pretty good. And if you look at all the different like designs for all the characters, I really like those too. I like the lighting. Like, sure, it's a bit outdated, but I think I was like overstating how outdated, quote unquote, it looks. I'm still gonna stick with a 6 though, just cause, well, just listen to this audio. Then for the SCP score, I'll give it a 10. This score is mostly just about respecting the source material, and this seems to be very accurate from what I've seen. I'm certainly no SCP expert though, as I'm sure you guys can tell. Anyway, that's an overall score of 22. B tier, which funnily enough is a tier that wasn't represented in the last video. I think at one point this game was worth playing, but unfortunately, we're probably past that point. And I think quite a few people would agree with that sentiment even if they really like the game. I mean, just look at this original comment. It wasn't asking me to check it out, it was just to mention its existence, and saying, I miss that game. Well, of course, the game is right here, you can still play it, and you can sometimes even get full lobbies on a good day. But I think the sentiment of I miss it probably comes from having a more active community and receiving developer support. Or maybe it's just a callback to the good old days, who knows. I certainly don't, I just started playing. One thing I did find out is that a revamp was being worked on for this game. And then I found out it was cancelled. But why was it cancelled exactly? Well, the short answer is a Roblox classic, development hell. And the long answer is go watch this video by Rendered Rear. He knows way more about the situation than I ever will. But the general gist is that the project kept getting delayed over and over again, kept losing developers, and the original person who made rBreach and the revamp kinda went silent. And after an incident that brought certain things to light, the Discord for the game was shut down, and there hasn't been much communication since. It is a tragic fate for a Roblox game to end in, but it's one I've seen far too many times, unfortunately, in games of all genres in all corners of the Roblox community. And from what I can see of the revamp, it looks like it was actually going to be a really interesting and modern update to rBreach, although it seems like the mechanics still needed some work. But going back to the broader topic of Roblox projects and development hell, I think some of the same things that make Roblox great and unique are some of the same things that hold it back, ironically, at least in terms of its community. And that's the fact that whatever you play is guaranteed to be made by a young amateur developer or a team of them. This gives rise to a whole bunch of unique and beautiful experiences that you can't find anywhere else. But at the end of the day, game development is about a lot more than placing blocks and writing code. It's about communication, both within your team and to your community. And the fact that a lot of Roblox developers are quite young and probably haven't developed those communication skills, a lot of projects end up dying in development, and fans are left forever waiting. Forever waiting. Waiting forever. How long are you willing to wait? I mean, surely the thing you're waiting for matters, right? Waiting for the bus to arrive so you can go to school. Waiting for an important package to arrive. Waiting in line for the bathroom. Waiting for the happy thoughts to come back. Whatever it is, it's all about waiting. Biding your time. When we're born, we're given a certain amount of life to live. Every second that time ticks away, you're inching ever closer to the time when your time will run out. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Of course, we can't know how much time we have. The only thing we can be sure of is that our time will eventually run out. So, what is it about waiting? Well, you only get a certain amount of time to live, so why wait if you can act now? Or maybe it is best to wait.
I do not remember making this part of the video. I have literally no idea what I'm yapping about here.
Why not?
Let's just skip ahead here. Anyway, for this last part of the video, I'll be talking about my channel and responding to some comments, so if you're just here for rBreach, you can click off now. We good? Okay. First of all, thank you guys for 5,000 subscribers. This is it's such a cool milestone to hit. And secondly, sorry that this video took so long to get out. It's not a long video at all, not compared to my most recent videos, but it still took 2 months to get out, which it just frankly shouldn't have. I've been a little bit unmotivated recently. Honestly, it might have been a bit of a mistake trying to make this video after making that 2-hour video reviewing all those different SCP Roblox games. Like I said, at the end of that video, I was tired of playing SCP Roblox games. The only reason I made this is because so many people asked for rBreach. But it's not necessarily a video I wanted to make. So hopefully this video does well, as it was highly requested. But I think for the future, I'm going to focus on exploring concepts that I'm really, excited to explore. And speaking of which, I'm feeling energized to make more videos, and specifically more videos that are over an hour long. I have a bunch of those planned. I have 5 different ideas I want to pursue, and then I'm pretty sure they're all going to be over an hour long, and I hopefully they will come out before the year is over, but no promises there. What I will promise is that for my new channel membership program, I will be putting out a member-exclusive video once a week. It's probably going to be 5 to 10 minutes in length, and it's going to either expand upon an idea that I've explored in a recent video, or it's just going to be me talking in general. It's not going to be super highly edited, but, if you want to support me, hit the join button. If not, that's fine. I just appreciate you guys watching. I think it's just really cool that people enjoy my content. And now I think I will respond to some comments. I recently put out a thread on my community page asking if people had anything that they wanted to ask me, so let's see what they said. At Skinwalker Gaming 96 says, "What was the hardest part in making the SCP Roblox games video? Also, I love your content and videos, you're super underrated." Well, thank you. And as for the hardest part of making that video, I don't necessarily know that there was a hardest part. Every part of the process is relatively simple, it just, takes a long time. I think the part that took the longest was probably playing the games themselves, trying to become accustomed with their mechanics, and trying to just give each game its fair shake. I didn't ever want to, play a game for 30 minutes and then try to review it. I wanted to give each game its time of day, and that is kind of a difficult process because you have to play it for hours and hours, at least with some of them that have more complex mechanics. It really is a process trying to understand everything that's going on with the game, and especially trying to become in tune with the community, all that sort of stuff. So I would say that's the hardest part, but again, it's not really hard. It's fun. I'm just playing Roblox games. It sounds like I'm making it sound like it's a big difficult process, but it's really not. Also, doing voiceovers. I don't really like doing voiceovers, but I kind of have to. But I always constantly retake. Actually, this is the third take I'm doing of reading all these comments. But anyway, thank you for the compliment, and hopefully that answers your question. At the Lego Boy SQ7JJ says, "Loved playing this past midnight during quarantine." Yeah, I get the sense that this game was probably big in 2020 and even 2019. And I actually have seen a lot of comments like this, especially related to rBreach, of just people having, sentimental attachment to it. Hopefully this video isn't too controversial, because I didn't give it the best rating. I still gave it a B tier. I think it's a pretty good game, just outshined by more recent games of its type, like Project SCP. But yeah, I did enjoy the game overall, and I can see how, if you played it back in 2020, you'd have some good memories with it, and you'd have some sentimental attachment to it. I don't really have that, so I'm rating it from a more, recent perspective, but I hope, everyone can understand that. You can have your opinion about it. If you love this game, it's your favorite SCP game, I think that's great. I love that for you. Or I'm actually sad for you because this game is not getting updated or revamped anytime soon. But yeah. At Cool1350 says, "There's also a game called Facility Breach that's probably too similar to Project SCP, though I personally still find it fun. I would love if you checked that one out too." Nope. At Animated Great says, "Even though you couldn't play Facility Breach," I think they mean Facility Lockdown, "you should still cover it by researching it or something. I don't know. Other than that, there was Area 47. Nope. Okay, I'm not trying to sound too dismissive or rude here, but obviously earlier I said I'm not really interested in playing any more Roblox SCP games, so any more suggestions will be ignored. Even if it's your favorite, sorry, I'm just not going to get to those. At Unlethal870 says, "Don't really play or use the Roblox platform anymore. I think I've grown past that, but hell, rBreach was pretty fun even when in a private server with a few of your friends. Even though compared to other games like it, notably SCP Secret Laboratory, the game is lacking. The one thing it had going for it was the abundant amount of different factions. Whether it was a faction you start as or spawned as later in the game, you never really knew what you were going to be. You could start as Chaos Insurgency or as an O5 Council member. You could spawn in later as MTF, which had many different variants, or something completely random like GRUP. I haven't seen anything else try and replicate that faction system. Yeah, I guess that was sort of an interesting component of the game, although a lot of the more neutral factions kind of blend in together. They don't really play that differently. But yeah, it's certainly an interesting aspect of it. Another part of this comment I'd like to address is growing past Roblox. I don't really believe in that. I don't know if this person's talking about like age or just mentality, but either way, Roblox is a fun game platform. I don't really think you can really grow past it. But if that's the stage in life you're at, then well, I can't stop you. At KHIKKHAKKHIW says, my favorite game in childhood. Smile emoji. Again, I think, yeah, a lot of people have sentimental memories about this game, and I'm glad about that. It's cool to see. You know, even if this isn't my favorite game of this type, again, I can certainly see how people could really get into this, especially during those like quarantine years. And finally, at page 2783 says, bro glazed a tower defense game. Yeah, I did. What are you gonna do about it, huh? No, but on a more serious note, it was really cool seeing the responses to my last video. All the different members of each community for each game like responded, gave their feedback, and even some of the creators of those games gave feedback on it. It was actually kind of like really interesting how fast some people responded. And it's really funny that I like mentioned, or I didn't even mention it. There was a screenshot of a wiki page for the SCP Tower Defense made machine cult, whatever it's called. And like within a few hours of me uploading the video, people from the cult had like posted, and it's like, wow, these people are dedicated. It's like, wow. But yeah, SCP Tower Defense, that was my favorite game. Again, I said in that video, I'm biased towards tower defense games, and that's still true. It's the game I've like come back to the most. I've played a bunch of SCP Tower Defense since I made that video, and I haven't really returned to any of the other games, but I just love the mechanics. I love how quickly you can get different towers and upgrade them. I love the evolved towers, all the different challenges, and it's gotten a nice like update as well. Actually, a lot of the games I covered got updates after I made that video, which is a little annoying because that makes my video outdated, but oh well, that's how things go. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to support me financially, click the join button. If not, thank you for watching the video. Thanks for everything. Outro out.